With millions of people dying each year, the global obesity epidemic is vexing public health officials and medical doctors. A new class of drugs for type 2 diabetes has seen a lot of success for overweight and obese patients, and now one of the more effective options is approved as a weight loss drug. I spoke to a woman who had to have open neck surgery to remove one of the issues causing her weight gain.
It's been an uphill battle. I mean, I was always a voluptuous woman, and then when I had my kids, I lost a lot of weight.
Marcia Bohannon had her children at a young age. She suffered with postpartum depression and lost significant weight. But for the last 7 years, she's been struggling with a number of health conditions that have caused her to gain weight again, including hypothyroidism and a severe hormonal imbalance.
I've had to take the blood pressure medicine to elevate it till they figure out my whole parathyroid issue.
Marcia's parathyroidism led to an invasive surgery, a long road with a lot of trial and error. But tonight, a new and FDA-approved medical option is on the table for people like Marcia. The FDA approved the type 2 diabetes drug Mounjaro under a new name, Zepbound, a weekly at-home shot.
If you're either living with obesity, which is having a BMI of 30 or greater, or if you're living with being overweight, which is having a BMI of 27, if you have to have a BMI of 27 and at least one other condition like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, you now qualify according to the FDA.
Triple board certified kidney doctor and specialist Dr. Frieda works with diabetic patients every day who are at risk of developing kidney disease. She says Zepbound will save lives and decrease risks of medical conditions like heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, diabetes, and arthritis. But Marcia isn't sold on it because of the potential side effects.
So I've thought about taking it because, you know, the people are losing weight, this, that, and the other. But then the adverse effect of it, some of the adverse effect of saying, you know, somebody could get thyroid cancer.
Well, Marcia says if she finds a doctor that will monitor her on Zepbound, she might reconsider taking it.